Hi, this is CiCi,
This is RiRi.
and this is Girls Talk. Thank you guys for tuning in to our first episode of Girls Talk.
Yes. What we're going to be talking about today is love versus lust. So this is going to be a great topic. Also, you guys, make sure that, just so you know, that we're going to be uploading this on YouTube later after the show. So we want you guys to like and subscribe and share the video.
Absolutely.
Also, you can view this video on the EON Experience, EON Experience, okay? So, we're talking about love versus lust.
Yes,
CiCi,
yes.
is there a difference with love and
I
lust?
absolutely think there is a difference in love and lust.
Okay.
And I'm glad that you brought that up because I have a few topics that I kind of want to discuss.
Okay.
And let's talk about it.
Okay.
All right. So the first one, and this is actually an article that I found from Date Mix. Okay. And so they say the first difference in knowing that is either love or lust is how you feel about your partner. You know, is your partner perfect? In lust, it says that your partner is perfect. You think the partner does no wrong at all. Anything that they do wrong in your eyes, you just ignore because you have them on this high pedestal.
Okay.
Now,
Good point.
in love, they're saying that you know your partner isn't perfect, okay? In fact, the imperfections about your partner is what really makes you love your partner. So if your partner hypothetically is out there, and let's say you guys are at a restaurant, okay, and your partner was inappropriate or said something inappropriate, you know, when you're in lust, you're just gonna flow with it, you know, because you don't want this guy to be like, oh, you know, well, why is she tripping? And you're gonna care too much instead of just being yourself. And with love, you don't really have to hide, you know, being yourself. So you can tell your spouse, honey, you know, or step in first of all and take over the conversation politely, and then let your partner know that, you know, I think it was a little bit too harsh, you know, about that, and be honest.
Right.
You know, do you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
Mhm.
I feel that love definitely is based on honesty, but it also requires patience also. But yeah, I do agree with that point.
Okay, well, good. The next thing that they said is your appearance, okay?
Yes.
And this like really hits home because I know a lot of you ladies can actually relate to this. When you're in lust, you care so much about your appearance to where anytime you see this man, your makeup has to be done, you gotta have the cute outfit on and all of that because you're worried about, you know, not worried so much, but you want to look perfect, you know, in this man's eyes.
Yes.
Always. And when you're in love, you don't mind your man coming over with your hair not done or you being in sweats. You know, so you as a married woman, how do you feel about that? And how was it when you guys first started dating? You know,
So I can honestly say that's a really good question because it has changed since I have become a wife. Got married in 2004, and when we were first dating, when me and my husband were first dating, appearance was very much a factor
okay,
for me. And I still feel that I try to take pride in the way I look. However, when the lust part was done, when we were dating, and we got married, love is very patient.
absolutely.
And it is forgiving. It doesn't really look at flaws so much because the person is what's most important. And honestly, the lust honestly was there.
Right.
I think anyone who's being honest would say that lust is there within a relationship because you want that person, you desire that person, you're like, oh, I can't wait to be with that person. But when you spend time, you learn your likes and dislikes, you have your first, you know, levels of disagreements, you recognize if this person is for you or not. And when love is set in, you realize there's so much patience that involves love. There's so much there are levels of things that you say, oh my gosh, I don't have to worry about burping in front of this person. You'll be surprised how shallow that people are when they're not loving you. It's like, if she burps in front of me, if she happens to pass gas, just being honest,
You be
if
trying
she
to hold that
does
gas in,
anything
too.
that is a turn off, I'm walking away.
Mhm.
But when you love someone,
Mhm.
you can overlook those things because the deep care that you have, it supersedes the lust because you have already had that person in your heart.
Right, right. So you're saying there's nothing wrong with being in lust, lusting after somebody.
I don't feel that it's anything wrong with lust when you know that you have a life partner.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I'm venturing off
But
as
you
a
won't
married
know
woman.
he's your life partner, though.
No,
At that point, when
no.
you're lusting.
So great statement.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
So
Mhm.
the point I was going to make with that is that you can separate who is worthy of becoming your mate, husband or
Mhm.
wife,
Right.
if you take sex out of the equation. We can further talk about that maybe on another topic because we have many.
Right.
But
right.
we have so many gifts as women to offer men.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that when we put sex first, we tend to put lust as a major factor where love gets blindsided, if that makes sense.
A little bit.
Okay, okay.
A little bit. You had me until the end.
Okay.
When you was first talking, it kind of sounded like, which I do agree. To a certain degree, lust comes before love,
Yeah.
because let's keep it real. It is that physical attraction,
It is.
that brings you to each other at
Mhm.
first. You have to be attracted to this man. He has to be attracted to you for it to
Exactly.
even go anywhere.
Exactly.
So at that moment, and as you guys are engaging and you're hitting those triggers that he
Mhm.
likes and vice versa, that's the lust.
Exactly. That's the attraction
Right.
level. That's the desire.
Right,
Yes.
right. But the whole thing is, don't confuse the lust because there's so much emotions going on at that
Yes.
time with love.
Yes.
Love takes a little bit more time.
A lot more time. Yeah. Yeah. It takes a lot more time. And if I can just add that, the lust part, I feel when you are a single woman,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to know because there are attractive men, attractive women everywhere. So when you're in
Right.
the dating scene, how have you handled being able to keep that in control? Because if you're not married,
Mm-hmm.
you're not just going to marry the first person
Oh, absolutely not.
who you're dating. So how do you separate that?
I think just like how men say, and just in general, when you meet somebody, you start having conversation and you see where their mind is, once you ask certain questions, and it really depends on what stage in the dating scene you're in too.
Mhm, that's
Are you
true.
dating just to date, because you just got out of a relationship and
Right.
all of that, or are you dating to actually find a mate?
Exactly.
That's a big
That's
difference.
a really big
You know.
difference. And most single women, I
Mhm.
feel, because I was single,
Mm-hmm.
I've been married for 15 years.
Mhm.
But,
hey,
but I feel that single women have an advantage because single women, I feel, compromise to have a partnership versus holding men to a higher standard to court them
right,
and
Right.
earn their presence.
right, right.
And I feel that there are so many beautiful women that are single who have so many gifts to share besides being on their backs.
Right, absolutely.
And I feel that we are so afraid to be alone as women
Mm-hmm.
that we take a back seat on our morals just to
Yes.
be able to have
Yes.
company.
Yes, we do.
Right?
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Those cold nights, rainy
Mhm.
nights,
Yeah.
when you like, dang, I just wish, I had a boo that would just
You
be
want a
here.
cuddle buddy.
Right, exactly. That's really what it is,
Right.
So you want that, and so when you're going back to the question, when you're in the dating scene, it all depends on where you at in that phase of dating, because you're going to be looking for different attributes in that man.
True.
So for me, I want a spouse. I want to get married, but I'm not about to just marry anybody.
Exactly.
So when I'm talking to a guy, I don't know how all women do. This is just how I do, but after I'm talking to a guy and I see where his mind is, if he really wants to be in a relationship or he's just trying to have like that whole sex buddy, partner thing, I put them in a category right at that point.
Okay.
Because that's like an armor that I have up, Oh, you're not trying to like really court, so am I looking for just a little play buddy or not? I'm just about to throw him in this category. You know what I'm saying? If that's what he's looking at. And if I need it at any time, I'm going to take him out the box.
Right.
I
got it.
But with somebody else, I'm going to take them more serious, And then also what comes with that is the respect level.
The respect level,
right.
The value level. And
exactly.
us as women, and what you said is so true, and more women need to hear it. Because the respect level of those standards that you just mentioned, you'll have them in a certain box. That same box can still be placed without the sex.
Right, absolutely.
That same box can be placed to say, let me see how serious he is. I have a girlfriend, who I'm not going to name her name.
Okay.
I'm sure she's probably watching. She's married because a guy who she was dating, and she felt he was husband material. She was on her monthly. Most people out there know what your monthly is. And and he wanted to take her out.
Okay.
Her monthly came. And she told him, you know what, we may need to postpone because I started. And he said, I don't care about that. I still want to see you. So not only was that points for him, that let her know he wasn't just after the sex.
Right.
Now, mind you, me and my husband have been married for 15 years. He has admitted that there was plenty of times that we went out before we got married that he definitely wanted to sleep with me. But I didn't, because I wanted to see where he was at.
Right. And I don't necessarily think that if a guy wants to have sex with you on the first date, doesn't mean that that's all he's thinking about.
It
either.
doesn't. That's just a natural.
Exactly.
That's
he's just very attracted. You do it for him. And
but it's up to the woman
exactly
to decide, because, like they say, women choose who they want to sleep with. Men choose their wives. Now, there are people who would disagree with me. This is not going to go into any type of biblical stuff, but when it says in the Bible that a man who finds a wife, I believe that there are certain points to that, to say men who choose that woman have already chosen her first.
I believe that.
Okay.
Don't you think that kind of goes with the saying that a man should love you more than you love him?
I have had.
Have you heard that?
Older aunts, grandmas,
right?
And there are some men who disagree. However, there are a lot of men who agree with that. This is why I'm not a new millennium woman. Probably I would suck at dating right now.
It ain't easy.
Because when I see these women on their knees proposing to men, I'm going, oh,
I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm not doing that.
But so
I'm with certain things.
And you are too beautiful.
Thank you, cousin.
And you have a lot of gifts and things to offer anybody who's in your presence.
I appreciate that, and I think a lot of women.
I told you that before.
Right, you have, and it's really good, I think, to have women such as yourself, in your corner, and other women needs to hear that too.
Yeah.
Because we do, it's dealing with our self-esteem.
Self-esteem, confidence, trying to fit in with what's going on out here.
Right.
Trying to please everybody else except yourself. When you respect and value and honor yourself, the man will have to follow that before he's your husband. And let me also say, as long as we are sleeping with the people that we're dating, we're not offering our best selves.
No,
if you hear some of these men forums, because I didn't mean to cut you off, I apologize.
No, it's okay.
If you look at some of these men forums, the men who sweet talk the women are also the men who talk to their boys to their guy friends who are saying, if she doesn't respect her womb, why should I?
Right.
So that's
right.
a very deep concept to see in the minds of men. They want the satisfaction, short-term lust, but long-term, they would prefer the woman who they want to wife not to lay down so easily. So
But
we need to
then-
look at that.
But I have to, and I do agree with that too. But I actually have heard men say that, especially, you know, when you get older, you know, as you get older, you get more mature.
Yeah.
You know, so I do have some men, you know, I've heard them say, well, we're grown, you know. If we want to have sex on the first, second, or third date, that's our prerogative. We're grown.
That's game.
Right.
So moving on. Go ahead, cousin. He's so running game.
But is that game though?
That
I mean,
is
because
game.
we are grown, you know.
We are,
like,
yes, we are grown and consensual adults.
Right.
That doesn't mean they're not going to call their boys up and say, man, I got that.
Right. But you do agree, I do feel as far, okay, let me get into this next
ahead,
question
go
first, okay, because this is going to bring that up. Okay, so the next question is, how often how often do you do other things other than sex? So if you're in lust, you spend a lot of your time in the bed. You have a super intoxicating desire to have sex all the time, but not necessarily to connect in other ways. It says chances are you just don't engage that much in pillow talk, and you know, you might not even include cuddling. It's just, you know, you guys having sex. Now versus love, when you're in love, you have sex, but it's not all that you guys do. You guys want to connect with each other in other ways, like trying out new hobbies, activities together, going out. And this is something that you actually pointed out before too. You know, you might not even have sex for a few days because that's not the main thing,
Exactly.
unless, you know, unless you guys' sex levels are high. And if you guys' sex level is high and it matches each other, then great.
Right.
You know. But so how do you feel about that?
I feel that that's true.
Okay.
I feel that that's true. And I feel that you can still have a lust in your relationship and in your marriage.
Right.
But like you said, certain other things take precedence over the sex because you have bills, you have a mortgage if you own a home.
Yes.
You have rent. You have
Mhm.
children to raise. You may be planning a vacation. You may be talking about life insurance. Somebody's talking about leaving
You
a
said life
legacy for their
insurance.
family. This is important stuff.
No, it is. That's not true.
And I feel that this is all a part of love because people who love
Right.
you want to include you in their life. And when you're
That's a
in
good
lust,
point. Right.
nobody wants to include you. Lust is a very self-serving
Yes, it
activity.
is. Yes.
Because once the lust is done and it's very short term, I saw one guy who said on one of the men forums, he said, yeah, I get my, the sexual urges met, and I give the woman an Uber and send her home. I give her money for an Uber and send her home.
That's almost like a prostitute. Don't that sound like a prostitute?
Well,
just about?
okay, but if a woman who is single, who is a consensual adult, is requiring her date to pay for her, I wouldn't consider that prostitution, but maybe somebody else would, which is why. So,
Right.
So
well,
I
I'm
will
happy
bounce.
he paid for the Uber.
Me too.
Right.
But
right.
I will bounce on another subject quickly and just say this is why I feel like if I was single and was not married, I would probably want to pay for my own date so that there will be no obligation with anybody assuming they are required to have sex or required. And then if we feel good about each other, that man can decide if he wants to pay for our date again. But the problem comes in when single women are dating and the man is feeling like I'm paying all this money just because, or just so that she can get a free meal. And she still has the power to decide if she wants to sleep with me or not. So everybody's trying to one up each other.
Right.
And that's where the disingenuous people are coming from.
And that really goes to your selection of men too.
It does.
It
and
really does.
You valuing the fact that you are single, and it's okay to say, hey, let's go Dutch, because I don't know if I want to be your girlfriend. We just want to just enjoy each other's company and go home in peace and with some integrity.
Right. Now, I have to say,
Right.
on the dates that I have had, I've always made sure that I have money in my pocket. You know,
That's
absolutely.
how you should.
And I don't go into the date assuming that this man is about to pay for this dinner or whatever activities that we're doing.
Right.
You know, but I have been, you know, most of the guys that I've dated, well, all of them that I dated actually, they've always paid for the bill the first date, you know.
Gentlemen,
And yeah, so that's one point for that, you know, but it doesn't stop there. You know, you can't just do that one little deed and, oh, you know, like, oh, he respects me. It's not just about
No.
sex. It doesn't stop there. You have to do more than just that one thing
Exactly.
to prove that.
And
you know.
somewhere in between
Mhm.
in the single life, I feel, which is so hard for women and men too. I'm not saying that we should not consider each other,
Mhm.
because I have sons
Mhm.
and I have daughters,
Mhm.
and I don't want anybody taking advantage of either one of them.
Right, right.
So I feel like respect should go both ways, and I feel like nobody should put obligations until something is solidified.
Absolutely. I agree.
So,
I definitely
That's
agree
just
with
my
that.
opinion.
I agree.
Okay. Is
Okay.
it 427?
No, we're good. We're good. We're good. Okay. So the last one, you know, on the list is how much do you challenge each other? Okay,
Good
so
one.
the
That's a
lust,
good one.
okay? If you're in lust, you are so infatuated with this person that you ignore the things that actually bugs you, including red flags, right? So
True.
you don't like how they handle money or speak or to servers at dinners, but you ignore it because you want to rock the boat with them. This is date mix, not me. Saying this.
Rock the boat.
Okay, you just want to keep things nice. And when you're in love, this kind of goes back to the first one I said too. When you're in love, if you don't like something that your partner said or did, you call them out lovingly. You know, a solid relationship requires honest and open communication. And because you want your partner to be the best they can be, you want to offer constructive criticism to help them out.
Yes.
And I like the word constructive criticism there, you know, because I think language, you know, is very important. As the old saying goes, it's not what you say it, but it's how you say
It's
it.
how you say it.
Right.
And I can tell you, I can attest to this.
Mhm.
Love language does not happen like together.
Mhm.
Any married couple who you talk to who's been married for years will tell you your husband or your wife will not meet up with you at the same time. It's just not going to happen.
What do you mean by that?
So I mean that when you love one another, the
Mhm.
patience is required over the years.
Okay.
It takes a long time to meet each other sometimes.
Right, neither
Because
one of you guys are perfect. You're getting to know each
Life
other and all of that.
happens,
Right.
things
Mhm.
happen, people can get laid off,
Mhm.
money factors, communication, and all those things happen because we're not perfect, we're human beings.
Right, right.
And so if it's worth it to you, if you love each other enough, even if you have to take a break, cry, not talk to people about your personal business,
Mhm.
but just go through each day trying to figure out how to do it, marriage is hard.
I believe it.
It's like
I'm kinda
building
scared of
blocks
it.
that fall and rebuilding again over and over and over again, reloving each other over and over and over again. And what people don't realize is that longevity is hard, but it's
Right.
worth it if
Right.
you love
With the
each
right
other
person.
with the right person
Right.
who takes the time to say, okay, look, I said this or I did this, I was wrong, I apologize. If you don't have a partner who's willing to apologize,
No.
You're in trouble. Everybody needs to apologize. Nobody is perfect in a relationship or a
I
marriage.
agree.
And I think that ownership, taking accountability for yourselves, for your flaws, for understanding one another,
Mhm.
misunderstandings, all those
Mhm.
have to be taken into account. People think because you get the
Mm.
beautiful big carat ring and the lavish, wedding and wonder why you're divorced in a year or two, it's because it was built on a shallow foundation.
Right.
And love may be, or I should say the marriage, it may be an investment, but that should be second. Love should be first.
Absolutely, you
And
know, I
respect
don't think
should be
people.
hers.
A lot of people, I think nowadays, and this is just only my assumption from what I see. I think people get married for the wedding and not really for
I've
the
seen that
union.
so much. I agree.
You know,
For the
and-
look, for show.
exactly.
To let
Just
people
to
go,
say,
ooh, look at that.
right, I have a husband, but you know, are you taking care of your husband? You know, are you doing what you need to do to keep your husband?
Yes.
It's just
Are you
not all
cooking?
for
Are you
clout,
cleaning?
You know? Right, right. Now, I'm going to say something about that real quick because I do not cook. I mean, I cook. I used to cook. My son is 22 years old. I'm like over that. But when the right man comes along, I'll
And
be
he
in that
realizes
kitchen.
that
Right.
there is.
But he needs to know how to cook too. So.
It's just like I heard a pastor say one time. The same woman who you're complaining about will also be a different woman and will be able to come out better mentally and emotionally with a different man, because it's not about what you don't do. A person who loves you will edify your strengths and will talk to you about how we can work through
I agree.
those weaknesses, not judge you, not make you feel like you're not worth anything. Love uplifts.
Yeah.
It builds you up. And even when you make a mistake, it forgives. And lust is the complete opposite. It has nothing to do with love. It's the complete opposite. Which is why I say, and I'm going to say it again, as a single woman out there, if you're dating, take sex out of the equation and see where you stand with your partner. Because we have so many gifts as women, and one of the treasure boxes that God gave us is what we should be giving to our spouses. And in the real world, we're not just jumping into marriage, true, but we should be selective and just date and go Dutch. It's okay to go Dutch.
Or be prepared to go Dutch.
Be prepared to go
right.
Dutch.
Don't go into a situation assuming that he's going to pay for anything. And, you know, you're going to have to, you know, we kissed a lot of frogs before we get to our prince.
Yes.
So I would say, you know, and what I'm taking away from this whole conversation that we had in these topics, which was really good topics, you know, very therapeutic, is that don't be scared to get out there and date, you know, and kiss these frogs.
And don't be scared to be alone. Before I was married, I cried on my pillow many nights. Had girlfriend time, just to get out, keep yourself busy, get new hobbies, read more books.
Absolutely.
Learn more things, get your degree. More women need to
focus on self
first. Yes.
Absolutely.
And when you get a partner, don't compete with him. Compliment him.
Exactly. I think everybody has a role that they play in the relationship. So don't try to, because some ladies are like, oh, they say I'm just like a dude. Well, who want to marry a person just like a dude? You know, like
I don't.
Right, exactly. You know, because a guy wants you to have that soft side. You know,
of course.
You know, he wants you to be assertive. You know, when you need to be assertive and a strong woman.
And a man who loves you will respect the standard that you have, because most men that I've met have daughters, and the same men will want a woman to tell them, my dad didn't talk to my mom that way, and I'm not going to allow you to talk to me that way. That's not being combative. That's having standards and letting the man know. This is why fathers are so important. But that's another subject for another day.
I was thinking that too.
Fathers are so important for girls.
It is. We think it doesn't affect us, but it really does. It really does.
Yeah.
And so,
we're going to end this.
Right.
We appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It's going to be uploaded on YouTube. CiCi.
Yes.
For our audience, can you give them a quick takeaway?
My takeaway for the audience this evening is to take your time, and it's okay to get uncomfortable so you can get comfortable. I'm learning that right now, you know, and this is what I take away and want to offer to you all out there.
Awesome.
And cousin, what about yourself?
So I would say that it's always the right time to do the right thing. never a wrong time to do the right thing. Even if you have to start over every 10 minutes, every day, every week, start over. It's okay to start over.
You only fail when you give up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thanks guys for tuning in to Girls Talk. See you.
Bye.